Hi, Jesse. How are you?
All is well. How you doing?
I'm well. I'm
Good.
well. And you're right about those degrees. I have 2 degrees, and regret the time that I spent getting those degrees. A waste of time. So you are right about that.
What made you do it?
Oh my gosh, my mother was one. She felt like if I wasn't going to college, then I had to go somewhere. Right when I first graduated, and I actually thought that when I got my first degree that I was going to become a lawyer because I took the LSAT 3 times. That didn't pan out. Then I went back to school in 2012 and got a master's, and that didn't pan out. I'm not even doing the career that I went to school for, which was dispute resolution, mediation. Because here in Michigan, they got rid of all the locals in UAW. So, so it was great.
Amazing.
And I owe like 60,000+ in student loans.
Wow.
You are so right about that.
Why don't you make your mama pay for it since you were pushing it?
I should, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
I should.
And then she'd be quiet if she has to pay.
I was just about to hang up, but then I said, no, let me talk to Jesse. You talk a lot about black men and how the black family is corrupt, and I am having a very, very hard time, and I'm tackling this. I have a lot of hate for black men, a strong hate. My patience, my tolerance is null and void. Not all of them, but just most. I find that they are like extremely grimy, like ratchet, not loyal at all, classless, and I don't know how to forgive the black men that have crossed my path, that have been dishonest and not loyal. And I do your silent prayer, but sometimes when I do the silent prayer, I find that it makes me cry because I'm so angry, and I don't know how to focus or not focus on the thoughts that are running through my mind as far as trying to forgive and move forward. But I have a lot of hate towards black men, and I don't want to instill that in my daughter, but I feel like I am.
So what's your question for me?
How to overcome the hate for black men.
Have you forgiven your father for not being there for you?
I did. I forgave him right before he passed.
Okay. And you forgiven your mother as well, right?
That's a task that's hard because I've done that several times, and she still irritates my soul. I just.
So you went to your mother and told her you're sorry for hating her?
Yes, I did. I went to her, yes.
Okay, Here's what I recommend. Just as your parents could not help themselves, you can't help yourself. The black men cannot help themselves either. They have not returned to the father, so they're driven by evil. They have their mother's identity. They cannot help it, right? And so if you understand that about yourself, it will cause you to understand that about them, that they just don't know. They literally cannot help it. And that will help you, will cause you to forgive them. So when you do sit and do the silent prayer, you start crying, and you say it's because you have so much anger. You allow that to happen. Don't fight against that. Allow yourself to cry if you start crying, because it might not be you. God may be causing you to repent. And that sadness could be what that is all about. So allow that to happen when you're done crying. Be done with it. And don't try to control anything. And with the thoughts, when you don't want to control the thoughts, you just want to observe them. Sometimes you're going to have a whole bunch of them. Sometimes you just see lights or darkness or a few thoughts or none. Whatever is happening, you're sitting by the window watching. You're not controlling anything. And when you can see those thoughts, it's God who is allowing you to see them. So he's with you. But allow yourself to repent. Don't control the tears when they come.
Don't control it.
Right.
Okay.
Because that could be you, the Spirit of God, causing you to repent.
Now, I try to take an effort to not hold every black man accountable, and I know that every black man is not trifling and ratchet and grimy.
Right.
For instance, Joel, he black. I love the way Joel carries himself, and I know that there are black men out there like that. I know that for a fact.
Right.
But it's just that it seems like it's more unproductive black men than there are productive men. And I have had the spectrum. I have had the blue collar and the white collar. I had a conversation with my daughter's father last weekend, and she posed the question. It just came out the blue. I don't know where it came from. She said, "Can a boy have emotions?" And I explained to her that as males get older, they should know how to control their emotions, and they should not be emotional. And so he chimed in and said, "No, that's not true. Men can be emotional. Men can cry too. If I have a bad day at work, I should be able to come home and cry and not be judged for it, right?" So exactly. And I said, well, if you're emotional and I'm emotional, then who's leading the relationship? Now, we are not together. Who's leading the relationship? If I'm emotional, I'm already naturally emotional, but you're going to be emotional too. So she was very confused.
Yeah.
And in the interim of us having that debate, he just left the house.
Yeah. Because he's emotional.
Emotional. And I said something very derogatory to him. I said, just like a damn black man. And I said, ain't none of y'all SHIT. And
wow.
I haven't talked to him since. Yeah, because I haven't talked to him since.
Well, listen, you can't, if you don't love him, you don't love Joel. Because how can Joel's a nice guy, right? But we cannot hate anyone. If we can't love one, we love none. And so it sounds like he's weak. I don't know him, but it sounds like he's weak and emotional. But you can't resent him, because if you resent him, you resent Joel and everybody else. Because let's say Joel come in one day with a fro. You're going to hate Joel because he did something that you didn't agree with, right? You either have love for all or you have no love at all. So you got to see it for what it is, but don't hate what you see. It cannot help it. We don't have a right. We all are born into sin, quote unquote. And so we all do stupid stuff, and no one can judge anyone for it. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to hang around them, but you cannot hate them if you want to be free.
But can't I differentiate between a Joel and just a regular? I mean, how come I can't judge and hate a person that has those bad qualities, and then look at another person and say, oh, they have better qualities, but I can still hate that other person because that's who they are. They show you who they are.
But who are you to hate, though? The hater is worse than the hated.
But if
you don't have to agree with it.
I have a hard time with that.
You don't have to agree with it, but you don't have a right to hate. Because it's take the stone out of your own eye before you judge someone else with a stone in their eye. You can see that, you can see injustice, but you cannot hate it. Otherwise, you can never know God, because hatred is of Satan, and you're playing God when you hate someone. We don't have to agree, but we cannot hate. When you get to know yourself, you're going to see you can't hate someone. You're as bad as they are. And if you have that hatred, you're worse than the person that you hate. Because hatred is pure evil.
I hear you, Jesse. I hear you.
And you will pass that on to your daughter, because if you have hate, you have no love. You won't be able to help yourself, but pass that on to your daughter. Again, you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to be around them, but you cannot hate them. If you're of love, you're supposed to love all. And you can't help but love all when you don't have anger. Anyone that don't have anger has perfect love.
You got to have patience dealing with black people.
No, you have to have love, and in love, love is patience all the time. You can't have
no
patience
matter
if
how they carry themselves.
right. It doesn't mean you got to hang out with them, though. You don't have to hang around, and you don't have to let them come around you, but you cannot hate. You can't judge people. You're not God.
Well, how do I get over all the disappointment that not a lot, but just that, like my daughter's father, my ex-husband, the last relationship. Not to say that I'm a perfect person, because I'm not perfect by far.
Right. So you can't. That's why you can't hate. And the way you get over the men that you're disappointed in is by not having any expectation from anyone or anything at any time. Have no expectation. You just live and be you. And God will add, if it meant for you to have a husband, he will add that unto you. It'll be amazing. But you just got to be. You got to live your life and not judge yourself and others. Those men, if they could do better, they would. They can't see their way out yet.
Let me ask you a question, Jesse. I heard you talk to this lady the other day. I think it was yesterday. And she had the alcoholic husband, and then Barbara from Detroit. And I knew she was going to give you the business because she was from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. And I knew she was going to give you the business. And I said, I also asked the question, if you are married and you try to endure the negativity that is going on in your marriage and it does not get better, for instance, in my situation, my ex-husband, his mother was always in our business, always. And I would bring that to his attention to have him check his mother so she can calm down, but he never did, okay? And then there was abuse. Don't you think that sometimes there is truth to what somebody is telling you about their faltered marriage?
Yeah.
It is two sides to a story, but sometimes that one person is the person that is so into a fallen state that when you try to make it work, there is no way of making it work, and you have to walk away from your marriage.
But you make it work by not judging one another. You don't judge him for it, or he shouldn't judge you. And when you don't judge it, you have the power of love to endure it and overcome anything.
So you're supposed to stay?
Unless your life is at risk or something like that, you can't leave your husband. What the?
And I do have regrets on because I filed for divorce because he was also an avid gambler, and like I said, his mother, was always in the business.
Why you
always.
didn't tell his mother how the cow ate the cabbage? He can't stand up to his mother.
I did. She called one day. This is when the big fallout happened. She called one day. He was not home, and I told her that he was not there. And she said, well, I know you're the reason why, true story, I know the reason why Travis doesn't come over for dinner on Sundays because of you. Now, mind you, her and I used to be really, 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 really cool before we got married. And then once the baby came and we got married, she just flipped the script. And that's when I just went off on her. And it went downhill from there. Like, he started blaming me for not making it work with his mother. Like I said, I know it's two sides to a story. It is. But sometimes, how long do you endure a bunch of BS in your marriage? It can be 10 years down the road before anything changes. But by that time, you done lost all of your identity, probably.
Well, not if you don't hate.
But how do you not hate your wife or husband who disrespects you?
But if you don't have hatred in your heart, as long as your life is not at risk, they're not stealing your stuff and selling it or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't have hate, you have the power to endure all things, because love is greater than hate. Love endures all things. Love don't remember injustice. Love is a light unto your feet. It's health. It's a sound mind. It is perfect in all of its ways. And in life, because there is good and evil, we will have to deal with stuff. And if you don't have the power of love, which only comes from God, then you're not going to be able to do things. You can't deal with anything because evil will destroy you. It'll make you destroy yourself. But in the power of love, you cannot be destroyed because God, love is greater than Satan's anger.
And you have to have, if I say I have the power of love, that means that I have to truly also love God too, to have that power of love.
You won't have the power of love unless you love God with all your heart, soul, and might, along with nothing else or anyone else.
Okay.
All right. So just do the silent prayer. Observe those thoughts because they're all lies all the time. And God knows your heart. He'll work on you. You'll be fine.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you.
You're welcome. Let me know how it goes, all right?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Amazing. You got to have the love, folks, because the battle is a spiritual battle. And mama's love is not love. The love come from above is love. And women need men to be strong so they can get if they're married, they can get the love from the husband who's getting it from God. Otherwise, you won't have anything. You will not have anything. And then you will be made strong from within. You will be made strong from within. We can't build our own solid foundation from within. It's a spiritual thing. You got to get it in your head. Do what you want, of course, but you got to know of yourself you can do nothing. Of yourself you know nothing. It's the truth. Then you shall know, and then it shall be done. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.